Welcome to the Sideload, where we're putting our phones inside a Faraday cage and throwing away the key. I'm your host, Will Sattelberg. This week, I'm joined by Michael Fisher, who you might better know by his alias Mr. Mobile. Although he's probably best known for his love of foldables, this year, Michael has released several videos on minimalist tech, including the MP01 from Minimal Company, the Lightphone 3, and the Terminal e-ink ambient tablet. I'm really excited to talk to him about the age of the digital detox, so let's just get right to it. Michael, nicest guy in tech, welcome to the show.
I can't claim that, Will. I would love to be able to say that is my widely known title. However, I've been meaner to people over the years as I've gotten to be an old man, and B, okay. Tim Stevens of CNET fame has that title for now and forever because he actually is the nicest guy ever. I've never seen him stressed.
I've never met Tim Stevens in person. I would love to, mostly because when I was in high school, was a comment moderator on Engadget when he ran Engadget, and I would love to. So I very briefly talked to him through that program. And dude, I would love to be like, hey, that was me. I was one of those people.
I had no idea that was a bit part of your history. And I will say that Tim Stevens, I didn't know if it would be true. And when I was covering cars, I went to a car event, a Mercedes event in Stockholm. It was a lovely time, but I was new to the car industry and I knew nobody there, which is exactly the opposite, as you know, of all of our modern tech events where we know everybody and everybody's friends and yada, yada. So I was feeling very unsure and very out of my element. And I kind of walked up to him and I said, hey, man, it's nice to meet you. I've been a fan forever and I don't have any friends here. And he was very, very nice and hung out with me despite being extremely busy.
That is a beautiful story. I will say you did the exact same thing to me. Like you were the Tim Stevens to my Michael Fisher.
I'm very glad to hear that.
And the first time I went to Snapdragon Summit, which was only my second tech event ever, which is a crazy thing to think of that was the second thing I ever covered in this industry.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Your second event took you to Maui. Well, I'm going there next week, which is why we're recording this now. And is why I can't complain about anything that I would ordinarily complain about.
Listen, it's been a busy few weeks for you. I appreciate you squeezing me in to talk. Nothing topical, just truly. I could pick your brain on Pixel. I could pick your brain on iPhone. And instead I went, hey, Michael, 4 months ago, you made some videos about minimalist tech, and I would love to talk to you about them.
And this is why I said yes also, Will, not just because I love you and having you back on the mic is a joy for the world, but I don't want to talk about anything topical because I'm burned out on the topical things right now. And what you describe is a vacation for me that I wish I could return to. And it's the most interesting thing I've done this year. So yeah, I'm happy to talk about it.
Your Lightphone 3 review in particular is one of my favorite videos of the year that I've watched. And I watch a lot of YouTube. And so I feel like I have some amount of stance to say that. But no, I have found it really interesting on how you, despite being in my mind, the foldables guy, when I think of foldables, I think of, and I brought this up on last week's episode, but I think of you having, there we go. I think of you having any Samsung foldable on a little stand on a plane with a little keyboard in front of it.
Yes.
That is, which, there you go. Which you share. I feel like every time you travel, you share a photo on Instagram of your workstation. And I always go, I can't imagine working on that. So
it's so true. Yeah. I've got my dorky little stand right here. Yeah.
There we go. Well, and I guess that makes sense in terms of you are so highly productive on any device you're using that it does to a certain extent make sense that you would eventually come full circle and be like, but also what if I could not, what if this was just a utility that I had in my pocket to listen to music or to call an Uber and not to, be constantly connected to the web 365 days of the year, 24 hours a day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think a lot of the maximalist approach I have to mobile tech, taking a foldable and making it a mobile workstation, as you describe, is me still trying to lean into a future that doesn't make really sense anymore. I feel like a lot of people used to talk about phones. I was thinking about this the other day. I was on a Fox 5 segment where they were talking Y2K tech because it's been 25 years since Y2K. And I remember now that it used to be the case that we would cover smartphones in like the 2011 timeframe. And all the commenters at Pocket Now at the time were all like PC guys, and they were all like, you're missing it entirely. This isn't what it is. Like, we're going to load new versions of Windows on phones, and they're going to be able to run x86 programs. And I'm like, I don't know, man, if this is the future, really. I think it's all going the other way to like simpler and more and cleaner. And I'm like, but like, as I get older, what I want is those earlier versions of the future. And so I'm like, yeah, what if we had an Asus Pad phone again? What if we had a Motorola Atrix again? Whatever.
That was my pitch coming out of last year's Snapdragon Summit, where I was like, I feel like the power has caught up that you could feasibly do this without it being a terrible experience. But it's been a year or almost a year, and nobody has remotely tried to emulate that unless you really want to count DeX, which was already a thing. So
right. And I know, like, to your point, to what you actually want to talk about, like, all of that is too much.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's get into this. But I really want to come. There was an idea that I think bled through all three of those videos: the MPO1 video, the light phone video, and the terminal video. But especially those first two, I think that friction is inherent to any kind of like minimalist experience. That like you need some level of friction to create like that separation in your life, that you're not going to constantly be, you're not laying on the couch and you're like, well, I'm bored, I'll just open Twitter for 5 minutes, which turns into 30 or 50 or 5 hours or whatever. That level of friction is what stops you from doing that. But that current, the vibe I get is that all of these devices, or the vast majority of these devices that are aimed towards curbing our appetite, our unending appetite for things to do on the internet, the friction level is too high or too inconvenient to like really lean into, right? Like you ran into this in the light phone video, and there were some workarounds, and they've been working on updates, and I don't know how much you've gone back to the light phone since to see how those updates work, but I guess to turn all of that into a question, like, what is the right level of friction for you? Because I have an answer. I have some kind of answer or an idea of an answer in my head, but I kind of want it to hear it from you first, because you've been using these devices and really trying to disconnect when you can.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, here's the thing. I think it's going to be a different solution for every person, but first and foremost, it sucks that part of my job, part of our profession, is to cover devices like this. And at the same time, we are utterly incapable of actually embracing them. Like I think I said this. I don't know if I used his name before, so I will not use it now in case I didn't. But I was talking to a fellow reviewer who had reviewed the Light Phone 3. And I remember I called him out at some party because I had read his review. And in his review, he discloses that, like, yeah, I didn't really go whole hog with this because I can't. It's not practical. I had my iPhone in my other pocket the whole time. And I'm like, you can't. You just copped out. Like, well, you didn't do the job. And, I love his work. Yeah. So I was like, what the hell? And, we've all had off days. But then I did it.
Yeah.
And it was impossible for me to do my job. I decided to do 2 weeks. And the Light Phone is the device that is like, it's not, you don't have apps. You have a handful of utilities, or what do they call them? Tools. And otherwise it's a phone and a text message machine. And it's not a very good text message machine. So it's really just a phone. And
it's just, there's no RCS, right? It's just SMS.
Right. Which I don't have RCS anyway, because I use Google Voice. So I'm even
fair. Okay. Fair enough.
The whole thing was like, I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do during this 2 week period? Well, I booked months ago, I booked a trip with my dad and uncle to like a multi-state thing with steamships and tickets and hotels and stuff. And I was like, okay, they both have iPhones, but they are 70-plus-year-old men. And as tech savvy as they may or may not be, like, I can't be relying on them for last minute driving direction changes. So I'm like, okay, well, I have to carry an iPad mini with me. I decided not to carry a phone with me, but I wanted to carry something that would give me the utility. Because one of the smart things that Light Phone and a lot of these dumb phone companies do is they will give you the capability of using the phone as a hotspot. Yeah. And the notion that the lifestyle that I think they want people to embrace with that is like, well, you can bring a laptop with you. And that is the thing that I would most like to be able to achieve, right? If we take it out of the reviewer, I'm a reviewer lens. It would be so nice to make the internet a session-based thing again.
Yes.
I'm going to sit down. I'm going to open up. I'm going to be connected for a while. I'm going to send my instant messages and my emails and whatever. And then when I close that laptop again and put it back in my bag, I've got a phone that can do the absolute basics, but otherwise I'm not online anymore. I've gone offline.
Yeah.
I mean, that is what I want to get back to. For all the things that didn't work, for all the difficulties, for all the device limitations of all these phones, like that idea that time spent being offline was so incredible.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to say that two things in particular stuck with me from the light phone experience. One was this notion of like not immediately defaulting to, I'm at a bar or I'm at dinner. What are we going to do for breakfast tomorrow? What do we have to do? Where do we go? I'm in a new town. I don't know where to go for breakfast. Let me Google it. Let me Yelp it.
Yeah.
No, let me ask the bartender. Let me ask the barista.
Yeah.
Let me ask someone who lives here. And I did that several times, and it was so fun because they tell you, she's like, oh yeah, you go to the Pancake Hut. I'm making this up. And then I'm like, oh cool, yeah, I saw that on the drive-in. And then her other bartender being like, what? Don't go there. That place sucks. You need to go to the Waffle Iron or whatever. And I'm like, okay. And
Michigan is really just wanting for restaurants. They're
obviously, not a restaurateur, but like, that was great. And then that spiraled into other conversations about the town and helped me learn things. So I've stuck with that. I've managed to maintain that habit. And the other one, the more important one, I think, is I have successfully resisted the impulse to every 6 seconds. Oh, something hasn't happened in a minute. Let me pull out my phone and just.
That's my worst impulse, and I kick it every few months, and then inevitably I have a reason to put social apps back on my phone, and it just melts after. It starts out granular, and it melts away as, I don't know, the news cycle makes you want to check Twitter every 5 minutes or whatever is happening, which is right about where I'm right about at the point where I'm going to go through another era of get these off my phone. I can't have these on my phone anymore.
I was going to say, I think you should, because I think the thing is like, this is for me, this would be a really ideal time to not be as plugged in because there's so many horrible things happening. And not that you should be ignorant of these things, but again, it should be, if you want to make your life a little healthier, I think it should be session-based.
Yes.
Like the old world, start your day tradition of let me read the newspaper. Whatever. I'm not advocating you read a paper newspaper, but like make it a set, like laptop time. Okay. Oh, wow. The world is burning down even faster. Interesting. Okay. Got to go do things. Close. Let's go offline. Take the dumb phone, Well,
and it's funny. You've touched on so many things I've been talking about lately, just like in my personal life, up to and including the idea that I would love to open a newspaper every morning and read the news. It is too bad that there are not a lot of newspapers that are up to the level of producing what I would want to read anyway. Right. Like you could, I guess, subscribe to either, one of the like 5 big national newspapers, a New York Times, or I could subscribe to like the Buffalo News, but I am aware of the fact that the Buffalo News is not, they ship, 20 pages of paper now. And it's not what it was when I was growing up, when, my parents would go out on a Sunday morning at the very least and get, a newspaper. And, it's just completely changed. And then in the way of the internet, it's like when I was growing up, we had like a computer room or an office or whatever, right?
Where the computer
exactly
lived. Yes.
With a big desk that I did have to move when my parents moved, and my God, it sucked, but it was really nice at the time.
Well, you needed the bay for the CPU, and you needed the racks for your CD-ROMs. You
needed a full pull-down cover that would cover the monitor as well.
Oh, absolutely.
We cannot, absolutely. Yes, and it did. It had that curve. Got to have the curve for whatever reason. Glad we all had the same desk.
We did. Oh my God, those companies, whoever made those desks just cleaned up at the time.
Yeah, and then went out of business very quickly.
100%. Yeah. It's like, what? This MacBook is £3? Okay. Well, goodbye.
You quote a fellow creator's video in the MPO1 video about the internet no longer being a destination, right?
Yes.
Like that it used to be. And I think this is two things, right? I do think it is both physically, like what we're talking about. You're not sitting down at a desk and logging onto to the internet in the same way. It's just, you're just always on the internet. And so therefore it doesn't, it's both less meaningful and blends into like a puddle of like stuff you don't remember, right? Like I spent a bunch of time yesterday, genuinely watching the Bills Dolphins game and like looking at reactions to it on Twitter. And like, I don't remember anything I read really, maybe one or two, but not really. But at the same time, I also think it connects to like the internet itself is just a much more barren place. I don't go to home pages anymore. And that's not, and I hung on there for as long as I could, but there just aren't any home pages really left to go to. Like I'm out of websites sometimes. That's how it feels.
I was thinking of this last night. By the way, that creator, I had to look her up. She was Sarah Davis Baker, and her video is called "The Internet Used to Be a Place." It's a great video. You should go watch it. Yeah,
I genuinely am going to go watch it after this because I forgot to watch it a few months ago, and this was a nice reminder. So.
It's so good. It's sad and it's melancholy. Like it's not. You're not going to have a good time watching it, but it's you will feel seen and you will feel like you're not alone in this sort of sadness about remembering what the internet used to be. But to your point about homepages, I was watching last night, I was not watching a football game. I was watching Riff Tracks or Mystery Science Theater as I tend to do very often. And they were making fun of an old movie called Carnival of Souls, which was just a hilariously, anyway, it wasn't one of the worst movies they've ever watched, but I wanted to do the thing afterwards where you do the deep dive. People call this a Wikipedia rabbit hole now.
Sure,
but like a Wikipedia article so often is too succinct. Like it's not a rabbit hole. It's like 3 minutes. And you're like, okay, I want to know more. Then you go to the IMDb trivia section and it's like, this was kind of okay. But I want that weirdo film buff's blog where he or she just like fires out 15,000 words of copy that I can just fall asleep to reading. And I feel like that's another thing we also miss in the new internet age of like, the degradation in quality of the search results and the AIification of everything. Like I certainly didn't ask Gemini to tell me about Carousel of Souls or Carnival of Souls because of all the things Gemini is actually pretty good at. It would just start making things up.
Yeah.
I've asked it about, Star Trek episodes. And, she'll be like, yeah, oh, right. The one where Captain Picard falls in love in the holodeck. I'm like, no, that never happened. No, that was Riker. Oh, right. Oh, yeah, no, you're right. I'm sorry.
Oh, my God. Is there anything more frustrating than when you're like, that's wrong, and whatever LLM you're using is you're like, oh, my bad. You're totally right. I'll never get that wrong again. And it's like, you will. And also, it doesn't make me feel better that you were like, oops, my bad. It just points out like,
totally.
It's the rant I always have about these is that I can't trust them at all because I constantly catch them making mistakes and stuff I do know information about. And so how am I supposed to all rely on it for information I don't know about when I know it's making mistakes on basic things I do?
And that's the thing, like that compounds what we were saying before about the kind of the appeal of these more simple devices. Like they're not trying to force another thing on you. They're not trying to be like, you know what? The whole idea of an operating system is just old. It's all going to be AI now. Just talk to it. It's like, no,
it's going to work 60% of the time. It's like,
exactly,
cool.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Like call mom. It's like calling your ex-girlfriend. Like, don't do that. What are you doing?
Are you sure your mom is actually still around? It's like, yes, I'm sure my mom is still around.
What's funny,
I don't know. I found records of a person with your mom's name having passed away in 2002 in Alabama. It's like, when I was 7.
Dude, that's not correct. It's like, oh, you're right. Sorry. No, you know what's funny is you don't need AI to screw that up. The first screw up I ever had was on a dumb phone similar to that. Mm-hmm. I was trying to show my dad how cool it was to do voice dialing on like a Nextel Motorola. And I may have told you this before, but I was just like, call dad. And then her response in this, this dumb phone assistant was like, which dad? I'm like, what? And I look at it, and it was not that I had multiple numbers saved from my dad, which is what I thought. It was that at one point in Virginia, I had saved the number of the local Papa John's. And the phone was like, Papa. Okay, got it. Which dad?
Oh,
Is it Dad or Papa John's? I'm like, no, I don't. That's okay. Never mind.
But that's like a charming error.
Yeah.
Right. In the same way that you and I just mentioned of like the AI errors today are not charming. They're mostly just annoying. Every now and then you get one where you're like, well, that's so out of left field that I don't, it's actually kind of funny, but like 99% of them are okay. Yeah. No, I need to just redo this, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
Real quick, I wanted, cause you mentioned this, right? You mentioned the deep dive, like the lack of being able to deep dive on things that interest you. And like,
oh yeah,
you know, especially if it's something like movies, I feel like the best you can hope for is finding someone's like blog from like 2010, like a blog post from 15 years ago that like maybe it's not even particularly well written, but it's making some like insightful points anyway. Like I feel like you and I have probably stumbled on stuff like that. But I also, and I hate to, you know, we're not even 25 minutes into this episode. I'm going to do it. But like you and I are both like longtime Lost fans.
Oh yeah.
And that was a show that like like how many Lost fan blogs were there just filled with theories and like I was gonna say wasted so much time, but like I don't know, like compared to what I waste time on the internet today, I feel like I was using my time wisely reading like crackpot Lost theories after every episode. Like
because you completely different experience. Those were different sessions. Those were more akin to reading a book. Or in my case, what Lost got me into was podcasts because there was like a recap show with two guys who would recap every episode. And that was the first recap show of anything I'd ever listened to. I'm like, oh, this is cool. But those are long sessions. And I think the thing that is killer about the way we currently use the internet, and one of the reasons I just hate short form video, it's not because I don't respect the creators of short form. It's not because I don't think it's hard work, because it is hard work, but it's the delivery mechanism. It has made everyone into like kind of dumb scroll machines. And you don't remember any of the things you see, really. They're like, and tell me if you do. Because I kind of avoid it, but I find that anytime I actually get sucked into a vortex of reels for a second, like if you ask me the next day, like, what'd you do for 20 minutes yesterday? I'm like, well, I was on my phone and I was doing this. And I laughed maybe, and I got angry, but I don't remember the content.
Definitely got angry. Yeah. Got upset, realized that the device in your hand was making you feel bad, put it down and stared outside for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Whereas the content we miss was more akin to like reading a book, more akin to having something worthwhile that left a mark on you, you know?
Well, and I think about, you know, what I enjoy consuming the most on the internet today. And it's like, it is like longer form, like, you know, the video essay is, that phrase feels kind of loaded in 2025 maybe, but like that style of even just like a 40-minute YouTube video that someone put a lot of time into. I've always struggled with short form video content because I don't know why. This is dating back to like, I was like primed to be super into Vine, right? Like I was 16 or 17, something like that, when Vine like exploded. I think I was a senior in high school. So I'm like 17 years old and Vine like explodes and is very popular throughout like much of my like early college career. Right. And I never got into Vine. It was like, I just was never, it was never my cup of tea. And like, maybe that was like, my sense of humor wasn't aligned with Vine or like whatever, but like when that transition, you know, that went away and then Musical.ly became TikTok. I don't need to go into the entire history, but when TikTok kind of, when that form of video content kind of bubbled back up a year or two later in the form of TikTok, like I guess I've scrolled through TikTok more than Vine just by default because I didn't spend a lot of time on there, but it was like, it's never been my place because I want something that's going to be more substantial and at the very least feel like I'm consuming something.
Yeah. And consuming it in a meaningful way. Like I think it was probably the pandemic that set this in motion, but I found that I started watching YouTube much more on my TV, on my living room TV. Yeah. Like I sit there and I go for long form consumption sessions. I never watch it on any other device. I look at my metrics on the Mr. Mobile YouTube channel and it's like, wow, like 60% of you or whatever, or 70% of you are watching on mobile devices. And I'm like, that's crazy. I'm so glad you're there. I'm not making that is not my intention. My intention is
Yeah.
for you to like be on your couch and like just be like taking it in and not going out, on the run. But it was because of video essay creators. It was because of a lot of the creators I've come to admire on Nebula and and Clint at LGR. Like, this guy's going to talk to me for 30 minutes about a computer that was sold in 1984, and I am here for it. That's exactly my favorite.
I love that. That's exactly what I want from the internet, is someone sharing their passion, right, with me and making me feel passionate about it. And like when I think about the type of creators I like, Nebula and their associated creators are like a great example of someone like, I like Patrick Willems. Like, I'll throw that on the TV. Honestly, I'm with you. I watched a lot of, not all certainly, but a lot of YouTube on my television, because the types of videos that I want to watch are like formatted really well for TV watching, as opposed to like phone or like, I don't know. I guess I'll watch it on my computer sometimes, like on my lunch break or whatever. But like, largely speaking, I want that on like a big screen.
Yeah. Same. And
like, in a disconnection way. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. And also for me, because I'm older than you, so I actually grew up watching. I remember when the Discovery Channel and the Learning Channel and the History Channel aired educational content that were actually really well produced documentaries, and I learned a lot, and I grew up loving them. And then even the entertainment stuff like Mythbusters, you still learned a lot while watching it. And I'm really glad that sort of YouTube, Nebula, et cetera, like the creators there came in to fill the vacuum left when those networks pivoted to like, hey, we can make 80 million times more money and spend nothing with a bunch of brain rot reality horse. Yep. I don't know. Can we curse on your show? I didn't ask this before.
Go for it. I can always censor it.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? I'm so glad that content still exists, and that I can try to like, that I can derive inspiration from it as I make my own. And what you said before really is important too. Like, watching somebody be enthusiastic about something is so infectious. It's part of the reason I think my stuff has gotten, I don't want to say worse, but worse, because it's like, this year's a little different. The iPhones are kind of exciting, but like, I always pick on the iPhone because it's so iterative and it can often be boring. But even the Pixels, pick an iterative phone, Samsung. Yeah. Boy, it's hard to get excited about covering a phone that is as marginal an improvement over last year's as a lot of them often are. I know you can relate to this.
Absolutely.
And I'll do the best I can, and then I'll go to that couch and I will turn on YouTube and I'll watch a channel called Miles in Transit, which is about some like young 20-something young man who is just enamored of public transit and makes YouTube videos spanning the globe, trying out public transit in absurd ways. And it's such, the enthusiasm is so infectious that I don't really care about buses, but I care about buses when I'm watching a 20-minute video about him riding a bus to Los Angeles from New York. You know what I mean?
No, I do. And I mean, I can't speak for you, but I know that like, when technology became my actual career, right, as opposed to just a hobby, like a lot of the creators that I watched that did tech videos I felt like I kind of stopped watching their stuff, not because they're making bad videos or articles or podcasts or whatever, but because it's like, well, that is not relaxation time. So it doesn't matter. It sometimes doesn't even matter how passionate you are. I physically can't tune in to this and think more about in my off hours the Pixel 10, which by the way, it's the first Pixel since the Pixel 6 that I have not reviewed. And it's been so nice just using the Pixel 10 and like appreciating it for what it is without having to have super strong takes.
That TSR running in your brain that's like, gotta take notes, gotta remember what this is like.
And I'm so unimpressed with the AI stuff this generation that to not have to spend 1,000 words of a review being like, I don't see any, I'm not getting anything out of this, but maybe you will, is great, because I can just be like, I have not been prompted by Magic Queue because of how I use my phone. Like, I don't use Google Messages very often. And so therefore Magic Queue, and I don't place a lot of phone calls to airlines, so therefore Magic Cute just doesn't exist to me, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and I made the same point. Like all the stuff that I love about the Pixel is old stuff that was already there. And all the new age AI stuff they've added like doesn't really work well. And like we were talking about before, it's fraught with errors. You can't really trust it. It just doesn't show up sometimes. It's like it's quiet quitting all the time. And it's a bummer.
To this day, best Pixel feature is now playing for me, because it's such an ingenious little thing that works all the time, right? Like works in the background all the time, is essentially works offline, and like will catch stuff that I didn't think it would just have in its library, that it has like film score elements. It will just recognize, and I'm always surprised by that.
You forget it's there and you pick up your Pixel, like, what's that text down there? It's like, oh, it's the song that's playing in the background of this coffee
in the
shop.
movie. It's literally like, it's the score to, it picked up the score to The Master. That's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy that it did that or whatever. Like
for me, it's at a glance. It's the other thing that's always showing up on the Pixel, because I
love at a glance.
It's gotten so smart, and it's just like, here's the thing. Here's the boat you're going to miss in 10 minutes. Here's the podcast you have to be on in 20 minutes. Oh, geez, I did forget about that. And you don't have to summon it. It's ambient. It's like the terminal screen. It's like, it's just sitting there giving you information, and you look at your phone. You're like, oh, right, that is coming up. Or those flights, or like like it got so much smarter. It got so much better.
Yeah. And then to compare that to something like, and they've pulled it, but to compare it to something like Daily Hub, where you're like, okay, you are allegedly powered by AI, and yet this feels completely impersonal to me in every way whatsoever.
Yeah.
And is not functioning it's not even up to par with Google Now, when Google Now shut down a decade ago.
And you had this weird choice of that Samsung also made, which is like, we have some of your display area we're going to devote to this. And Samsung, it's the Now bar, and on Google, it's at a glance. And now that we've introduced this Daily Hub thing, we're gonna rob some of its utility to, at some points of the day, just tell you the day rolls on, or good morning, Michael, or like night owl. I'm like, you know what? I don't mind cute technology. I loved Jibo. None of these companies are at a size where they can do anything truly whimsical. It all has to go through, from my perception, like 10 layers of lawyers, just joyless corporate trash. Absolutely. And so it's like, good morning, like good afternoon, bright afternoon, nice night. And I'm like, shut up. Just tell me, like you were telling me before, hey, you know what? In 2 hours you have a meeting. Or you haven't, like, just give me useful ambient information.
But then it's not generated. It's not AI. It's not generating anything, right? So like we have to. Isn't it impressive that it knows it's 7:30 p.m.?
Exactly. Oh my God, the day rolls on.
So this feels as good of a point for me to ask you, like the big question I wanted to ask you today, which is having used these minimalist devices, like what do you want out of a minimalist phone? What would make you take your job away from it, right? Obviously, our career paths have made it that we are just constantly, to the point where there's 3 phones on my desk right now, and that feels low. Right? We're always jumping between devices. So if you strip that away, like if you felt like what would the minimalist phone of your dreams look like if you could build it tomorrow and just have it? Like, what does it do? What is it pulling from? Because for me, in the short version, it's kind of just like a Pixel with like a lot of the functionality taken away, and then that's kind of all. And it's just the basic utilities that you need to like participate in the society that we currently live in.
I think so. I have 2 answers to that. One of them is pie in the sky dumb, but I have to say it because I did feel it. Okay. And like, make fun of me all you want. But if you took the Humane AI pin, and made it useful, that would be what I would want. Like if you actually did the thing where you tap a pin on your shirt and it's like, call my mom, and then you've got earbuds too, so you don't have to be the asshole talking on the speakerphone all day. You're having a phone call through this thing on your shirt, and it's got a little camera, so you can be like, take a picture of that real quick. Or tell me what this is. How much gold is in the Federal Reserve? Because you're walking by it and you're curious. Awesome. That to me, like they had a really good idea with it. The execution was miserable. So much was bad, but the idea was a good one. Mm-hmm. So in a pie in the sky way, that's my answer. In a reality, in a way that's based in reality, something you could probably buy today. It's a phone I'm going to review soon, which I didn't care about because I don't really care much about repairability. Sounds very, I just have to be honest.
Oh,
the Fairphone
I know what
6.
you're about to say. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So David Amell we were just hanging out. And he's like, "Have you seen the Fairphone 6?" I'm like, "No, I don't." He's like, "It's got a button on the side." I'm like, "What does the button do?" And the button turns it into a dumb phone. It's like an Android phone that turns into a dumb phone on demand. And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And I don't have the discipline necessary for this lifestyle. I will freely admit, so many people in the comments of the light phone and the minimal phone are like, just get self-discipline and just don't use your apps. It's like, you know what? Just shut up.
I think that's also an answer that people who they don't have that self-discipline either, or else they wouldn't be commenting on your YouTube video. Like, let's be for real here.
They do. And if they do, then just cool. Thanks for gloating.
But like the idea to pretend that this is like somehow a failing on you when clearly there is this sentiment among lots of people that this is too much and I don't feel like I can control it, but simultaneously, like my brain feels itchy when I'm not online during like high stress moments of public life, of which there are many these days. Like, I don't think that's a failing on you. I think that's like exactly what, all of these specifically social media companies have spent the last 20 years trying to build us up into.
I think that's true. I don't get as far into that side of the argument as like, because I know that like TikTok and Instagram are built that way. And I understand that. But I think so much of the rest of it is just a byproduct of the connected world we've built because we did spend back when the internet was a place. I don't know. I know I sat around seeing the early discourse, the early speculation from people saying, someday you're just going to be always connected. And I reviewed in When Phones Were Fun, the AOL mobile communicator that would one of the very first things you could wear on yourself and you would be connected. You'd be online all the time. You would never sign out of AOL Instant Messenger. So we wanted this world to an extent. And we didn't realize how destructive it would be. But one of the most potent illustrations of that during my light phone review was I don't even know if I wrote it into the VO because I screw up my scripts every time. But I switched to a dumb watch. I was wearing my Shinola, just regular analog watch, and I got phantom vibrations all the time.
Yeah.
I went to look at it thinking it had buzzed, and it can't buzz. Like that's how broken our brains have become by this constant connectivity. So I agree with you that it's not our fault. And I wish Robin Williams was still around so he could say that 14 times to my face.
I'll put the clip in. Don't worry. I'm just realizing I saw either this AOL mobile communicator or something very similar to it. And we're rewatching Gilmore Girls as we do every fall. And there's an episode of Gilmore Girls where I think Rory, the daughter in Gilmore Girls, has an AOL communicator.
It's a rebadged BlackBerry interactive pager. Yeah. So that's probably what she had.
She was holding a big chunk of black plastic with AOL on the back. Or America Online on the back. So
So maybe it was the AOL mobile communicator.
Or something similar. It just when you said it, I was like, wait, I have to look this up because I think I just saw this in an episode of television. Also, Gilmore Girls is a great way to, if you just want to watch for old tech, there's like later in that show, there's like a whole episode where she gets a sidekick. It's like a whole thing.
Yes.
It's great. It's great. Her absentee father gets her a sidekick.
So the vintage TV is great for tech spotting as well. There is a video that is very in line with the subject of today's episode that I just watched the other day. By a YouTuber called Eddie Burback, who's apparently very popular, but I don't know him.
No, Eddie's videos are some of my favorite. I would highly recommend them to anybody listening, including you, Michael. You should dig deep into that.
Now I know because the algorithm served me this video called "I Hate My Phone," so I got rid of it. And he basically did a version of my light phone video, but like way better. Like he got a landline phone installed in his house, and he documented more thoroughly the bus rides and the things he had to do and like the MapQuest directions and stuff. And it was so great. But I say that because he invokes not Gilmore Girls, but Sex and the City. And he uses that as like a lens of like, look at what this cast was doing in the early 2000s. They were using laptops. They had phones, but their phones weren't, they were for phone call. They were for session-based communication, and then they went away. Yeah. And they weren't constantly on the table. They weren't constantly the focus of everything. It was great. It's really, really, really cool stuff, and fun, nostalgic in the best way to look back on how we used to use this stuff just so differently.
I don't think of you as a big smartwatch person necessarily, maybe, but I think of you as a watch person, but maybe not a smartwatch person.
Thanks. It's a good.
That's a compliment. I think it's certainly not an insult. But when you were describing your dream vision of a humane AI pen that works, to me, like it does sound a lot like kind of the modern, like, remove the camera, but like what a smartwatch, and especially with like Gemini now and Wear OS, like what a smartwatch paired to headphones, a cellular smartwatch paired to headphones could do. Have you tried living that life? I don't think it's a particularly appealing one in the current, like, it doesn't work as well as you would hope, but have you ever tried? I've never committed to it for more than like a couple of hours, going on a walk or something.
No, I have a friend named Zach who turned me onto this idea a number of years ago. He said, "You know what I want to get?" Because he's an Apple guy. And he was like, "I want to get the new Apple Watch with cellular." I think cellular was newish. And I just want to use that when I'm around town because we were talking about this detox thing. And I was like, interesting. So I think I wanted at that time to try that idea. What I find fascinating about that implementation is that I didn't know for the longest time, I was behind on this, that like when you're out and about, you can get notifications from like all your apps, even if the apps aren't installed on the watch, because your phone is basically sitting at home slinging notifications over the internet to the watch. Is that what the deal is? I think that's fascinating. And I'd love to give it a shot. I really should have by this point. I don't know why I haven't, because also that's what every commenter says on every dumb phone video. It's like, just get a cellular Apple Watch.
But I don't think it's a good solution. So first of all, like, it doesn't solve the QR code problem that you bring up in the Lightphone 3 video. And that I think is genuinely, outside of Uber and, mobile ticketing, like, I think is like the biggest, because you go to any restaurant, like, they might have paper menus, but they also might, like, you are just gambling when you walk into any restaurant or bar that they're not going to force you to use QR codes, right?
Totally.
Like, that's an issue, and that's not going to work really on smartwatches at all. So if you go out to a restaurant where they're like, hey, there's the menu on that QR code, like, you are, I guess, just looking at the person next to you or whatever.
Yeah, right. It's like, I don't know what's good here. I mean, that could be fun in the context of an experiment, like much like talking to the bartender to ask him about a breakfast place, but like it gets old really quick and you still need QR codes for more than menus. So yeah, I will say, I mean, you remember the first Galaxy Watch, it had a camera on it. Like, we can do cameras on a watch.
And we've seen, there's been signs that like Meta has rebooted their like dual camera smartwatch for whatever reason. So like clearly that idea still exists, but I don't know if I see cameras on smartwatches ever fully hitting the mainstream. Like, I just like, it's such an awkward way to take a photo or video. Exactly. It's odd. For the audio listener, Michael just held up his arm very awkwardly. And then that's before you even get into the fact that, like, to what you just said. So the way that I use my cellular smartwatches the most without a phone is when I go on a run. I love the ability to leave my phone at home. I to be honest with you, the cellular exists more so that I can just play whatever I want without having to worry about what's downloaded on the watch. That's the best thing for me. I went on a run yesterday that I ran out of energy much earlier than I thought I would. And so I had like when I stopped running, I had like a 15 minute walk back home. And instead of having to just listen to the rest of the playlist, I like restarted the podcast I was listening to, and that's great.
Nice.
The problem more becomes when it's like, to your point, you get every notification on your phone, but you can't respond to every. So like Slack is the perfect example of like, I will get a Slack notification, and all that does is make me feel 10 times more anxious than if I had my phone on me, that I like can't reply to this.
Oh, that's the worst.
So you know it's there. You've seen it, right? You've read the message. It's not even a little indicator dot. You've read someone asking something of you.
You can't. You have to call them.
You have to call them or
to your question on Slack.
Right. There's nothing you can do. And it's like, okay, I guess I'll just wait until it's miserable.
Interesting.
And obviously it depends on the platform. It depends on the smartwatch you're using, and it depends on the applications on the smartwatch. But like, you're gonna run into moments like that where like there is no mobile app for the notification you just got. So like, even if maybe it's not even a reply, maybe it's just like you someone's at your door, but you can't do anything about it or something, right? Like, and those moments will exist with a smartwatch, and it's really it's so much more frustrating than even with like a minimal phone where you don't know, but then that anxiety is not there because you don't know.
Yeah, and I think like if you zoom out from that exact problem, it's like what people want, and I think what people are often buying when they get a minimalist device, I will make a distinction, not like a utility device. Like it's not buying a purpose-built device, but it's buying something that is aspirationally light or minimal. They're buying the hope that they can live this way more than they're buying the product itself.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they're buying the aspirational sense of maybe I can reprioritize my life so that I'm not as dependent on my phone. And that is one of the biggest lessons I learned from that light phone video is like, I knew as a phone reviewer, it was going to be not tenable for long term, but I didn't realize just as a person, how much you need your smartphone for. And it's crazy. Like that's how you know it's a profound reliance when someone whose job it is to know these things still underestimates the importance and the value of a smartphone. So I think, you know, it often a lot of these companies survive based on the fact that people just want a different lifestyle, and they're buying something to enable that, but it can't work. And so that's led to another category of things that like that I haven't tried out yet, like Brick. Have you seen Brick?
I have not seen Brick. I will
it's interesting. It's like a 3D printed little. It's literally a piece of plastic with an NFC tag in it, and you tap it to your phone, and it interacts with, I think, an app on the phone that just makes the phone a dumb phone. Like it ruins it. And I think the genius of Brick, if I'm getting it right, there are a lot of products like this, so it might not be right, but I think with Brick, you can turn your phone back into a smartphone before the timer runs out or whatever.
Yeah.
But you can only do that 3 times, and then you have to buy a new brick.
Okay, that actually is smart because you've brought this up before, but it is so like anytime I've tried app timers, they just immediately fail because it is so easy to be like, nope, I want more time. More time, please. And there's nothing there to punish you, right? Nope. And it's the same thing with reinstalling apps. There's no way there we go. I want my app back.
Yeah.
And I guess this brings us, and we can leave it here maybe, although I feel like we could talk about this for like 5 more hours. But definitely. What would you, having used these devices, right, and having kind of lived in this world a lot this year, what would you recommend to somebody like what you know, in September of 2025, where you are now? What would you recommend to somebody looking to have some kind of minimal device, or even just experience some kind of like freedom away from that feeling that their smartphone gives them? Maybe not necessarily their smartphone itself, but the feeling.
It is so difficult because these products that enable this lifestyle, the phones at least, are made by such small operations that you have to know that you are signing up for a little bit of heartburn. I mean, I hang out in the minimal subreddit. I hang out in the light phone subreddit. I'm a co-founder of Clicks. We ship a product that is for a very specific user base. I hang out on my own subreddit. It is difficult to ship products at scale when you are a small company. It is really difficult when you're apparently like 5 people, like the minimal company is. So you're signing up for difficulty. You are signing up for delays. You're signing up for complaints. You're signing it's not buying an iPhone or buying a Samsung phone and being like, I can reasonably expect most of this to work. It's like, these are patchy experiences. But I gotta say, I think the closest anyone has come to building something that works for me is the minimal phone, because the difference is and we haven't talked a lot about the minimal phone on this, but it's not a dumb phone.
Yeah.
It is a smartphone. Like it's an Android phone with an okay QWERTY keyboard, and it kind of looks cool, and like it's the right size, and you can.
The display seemed to be the biggest.
Right, but that's the thing. That's the whole point. Like it's an Android phone.
It's
but
it's the friction level.
It's the friction. The display is so bad because it's e-ink, and it's a really bad panel too.
Yeah,
but like it's so unpleasant to do anything but basically read text that you don't want to use it. But I could call an Uber. I could call a Lyft. I could scan a QR code and read a menu probably better than a regular smartphone could read a menu because it's e-paper. Yeah. So you can do those things. And then the minute you try to push the envelope and do something that you really like, you bought this so you wouldn't do, like scroll Instagram, it's like, oh God. Oh, stop. Oh,
after 10 seconds, you're annoyed. And so it's, why would I even why it's not worth reading this post from a stranger on the internet because who cares?
And I think that concept is so good. And honestly, that device is better than it has any right to be for the amount of resources that company doesn't have.
Yeah.
And, like they've screwed up a lot. They've missed all kinds of deadlines. Like, I mean, the Reddit is, very angry, but the device, there's a great idea there executed pretty well. So I would say that would be the one. If you forced me into one tomorrow, that's what I would do. But, it's not as pure as the light phone experience.
No, there's something so the light phone software is so stark and appealing to me, but then you look at the things it can't do and you're like, there's just no way, not in 2025 that I could do that unless I ironically gave up a bunch of stuff I would be doing in person too. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
and the light phone tickles a gadget itch.
Oh yes,
that nothing else does because it's so like they had 2 generations before this and I could not care less. I was like, no, I'm not going to care on these ugly things. The Light Phone 3 is such a beautiful industrial object, and it gives you that iPhone 4 sense of like, how the iPhone 4 was, Steve Jobs was like, it's like a Leica camera, and it kind of was. The Light Phone 3 has that same look and feel, and you enable the camera and you remember that screen is actually color. It's just hiding the color from you, and you're like, oh, this is the best feeling somehow.
Yeah.
And you want to change the brightness, so you turn a knob. It's like,
well, that's straight off the Game Boy too, and I love that. It's the contrast knob on the original game. Yeah,
I didn't put that together. You're right. It is. Yeah.
Oh, that's where I thought their inspiration was from when I watched your video, but also saw their announcement. I was like, that is straight off the contrast knob on the Game Boy.
Yeah, good pull there, man. I did not even think about that at all. I had an original Game Boy too. Yeah, I don't know. There's, it's something between those things. I feel like if Light had more ambition, because that's another thing I love about them. Like I kept pressing them when I talked to them. I'm like, guys, this is a small Android phone. It's literally a small Android phone. You could sell tens of thousands of units to small Android phone nerds. Yeah. Why don't you just offer a version that runs Android? And they're like, because that's not what we got into this business to do. We don't want to do that. It's not about it. I'm like, respect.
Yeah. Well,
like,
and I've had regular people, like the Light phone is the phone that people like regular, not like tech enthusiasts have asked me about. Like that's the one that has bled. I don't know if it's the right combination of Instagram ads and whatever, but like people do know about that phone more than others and like do find it appealing. And I think that proves that they're at least like, there is like a point to their mission. They have the right idea. It's just finding the right level of friction, I guess, right? Like that brings us back to friction.
100%. Yeah. And I look forward to trying the Fairphone 6 to see if that button
I'm dying to know how you like that phone. Cause when I wrote about the announcement for 9 to 5, I was like, I wish so bad this was sold. That was the first one for me where I was like, I really wish this was sold in the US because I found it very much more appealing than the last couple of generations, just specs alone.
I think I'm going to use that to detox after this iPhone/Pixel season finally wraps. Yeah, mercifully
in November.
I was going to say I think that's going to be like a November phone. Yeah, which is I wish I didn't have to wait that long, but we're just buried in products.
Well, listener, you have a Michael Fisher. You have several Michael Fisher reviews to look forward to, actually, which you can do by hitting up Mr. Mobile on YouTube. Michael, thank you for joining the show. Anywhere else you want to point people to?
Thank you. I will just note that I'm on Threads at Captain 2 Phones. Captain the number 2 phones. Threads has actually become a pretty vital space, and they gave me a great excuse to start posting exclusively on Threads as in terms of microblogging, because now they pay me to post there, which is not the reason I chose it. It also, it just, oh God, I don't know about you. I can't cross post anymore. I can't do for like a year I tried it. I was like, everything I post is going to be on X, Blue Sky, and Threads. And I think I burned out my brain. I was like, no more.
Every time I try to do it, I do it once and then I immediately forget. And I'm terrible at posting on social media in general anyway. And so like my Twitter feed is still the one that is most active because 9 to 5 articles automatically tag me on their social feed. And so all I have to do is go in and retweet it.
See, so low resistance.
It's truly just the path to least resistance. Like what is going to get this social media activity done as fast as possible. Michael, you are at the very least the second nicest guy in tech. Thank you for coming on.
I will take it. Thank you for having me, and I'm glad to have you back on the air. I don't just say that because I'm a podcast consumer and I have missed you.
No, I missed podcasting. This is a thing that started as just a thing I enjoyed listening to, and then a hobby, and now it's like half the job. So it's all I can ask for. But thank you for listening or watching, whoever you might be out there. You can reach me at will@9to5mac.com. You can also find me on various social media platforms. I think I'm Will_Sattelberg on everything. And just search me. I'll come up somewhere. I'm on platforms. Follow me on Letterboxd. I don't know. That's always the best. That's the best social network, for being honest. I'm watching all the Paul Thomas Anderson movies ahead of one battle after another, which I'm very excited for. So there's that. Michael, we'll have you back on at some point because you and I are just going to do a 5-hour Lost retrospective, actually, and it'll be great.
Great to me. I can't wait. Give me an excuse to do another rewatch.
And to everyone else, we'll see you next time. Goodbye.